Welcome to another episode of WTF Cinema.
Hi everybody, welcome back to WTF Cinema. I know I've been gone a while and I want to apologize for that. First there were computer upgrades that needed to be done, and it took longer than I'd anticipated to get the parts and to get them installed and to get them working. Then once that happened, we started renovations here at the house. And you'd be amazed at how hard it is to film something when people are jackhammering the foundation of your house. I figured you guys wouldn't want to hear that, so then it got put off a little bit more. Plus, that last movie, Naked Lunch, I had to go to therapy. I was there for a couple of months before I could even start watching movies again. But this week's movie is a little bit different. It's still stupid, and it's still definitely what the f*** worthy. But it's just not such an outright offense against human nature. This is Toys. Now, we open with some ballerinas dancing in a toy city. And it goes on forever. From me to you, as a filmmaker, to potential filmmakers or even film viewers out there, let me offer you a piece of advice that I learned the hard way. You don't open a movie with a dance sequence. Unless your movie is a flat-out musical, putting a dance sequence at the beginning is slow, drawn out, and leaves the audience wondering what the hell they've signed up for. Now, in the middle of this musical number with the dancing and the singing, we randomly cut to 3 seconds of this car driving down this highway. Why? It has nothing to do with it. We cut back to the dancing and singing for another solid 3 minutes. I swear, I didn't just edit this in. This isn't just a trick. It's almost as if the editor got this movie mixed up with some student film that his buddy made and accidentally sliced it in. It is the most random cut I've ever seen in any movie. Just 3 seconds of a car going down the road and then back for 3 more minutes of singing and dancing. The two don't even have anything to do with one another, because at the end of the musical number, we cut back to the car again and it arrives at its destination that we saw it traveling to for 3 seconds. And then we ignore the musical number like it never happened. It's something that went on in the background. The entire musical number is nothing but a waste of our time so that they can show up the opening credits. They just throw them up there while this thing is going on in the background, hoping that we will be entertained, I guess, by something completely unrelated to the plot. Now, we learn that the president of the toy company is dying from that famous and always tragically fatal non-specific film disease. His children aren't quite ready to take over the company yet, so he asks his brother, the 3-star general, to quit the military and take over the toy company until, his children are ready for this kind of duty. I don't actually know how easy it is to just quit the military, but I have a feeling it takes more than 2 weeks' notice. So we cut to Robin Williams' house. Now, Robin Williams is the son of the toy factory owner and the nephew of the guy who's taking over. He is our main character. Ignoring for a second the stupid fold-down facade of the house and how absolutely pointless that is, if you actually look at the design, you can tell that the fold-down part doesn't contain any furniture at all. That's just a front, and the house is actually contained in the box behind it, which makes sense. Because if you think about it, everything in the house would have to be crushed and uncrushed in order to work, and no. But look at the size of that house in comparison to, say, the car that's parked right in front of it. That house is about 1.5 car lengths wide. It's about 1 car length deep. Could you imagine living in a 3-story house that was that small? I'm pretty sure my first apartment had greater square footage than the ground floor of this house. But once we see inside, each room is a mansion. And, by the way, for some reason, the director really has a thing about rooms within rooms. I'm not going to bother going through the film and cutting out all the samples, but take my word for it, all throughout this film you just see several rooms within rooms. You'll have a giant room that's almost completely empty, except for in the middle of it is a smaller room that has the fourth wall cut out so you can see into it, and that's where all the stuff is. It's not once, it's not twice, it's about 6-7 times in this movie. It's just a monumental waste of space, and I guess it looks interesting, but there needs to be a reason for things to look that way. When you want something to be visually interesting, there needs to be a reason for it to be that way. Otherwise, you're just... what the f***? Now, Robin Williams decides to drive his father's car to the funeral. See how this is funny? This is exactly where you need to set your expectations. This is the level of comedy that we're in for here, right here. It doesn't get any better than this. So if you think this is laugh out loud hysterical, then you're gonna love this movie. If you think this is stupid, then you really need to stay away. Now, the Toy Master gets one final gag before he finally kicks the bucket. And I guess this is supposed to be charming or endearing, that he's got this little barrel of laughs in his coffin, but all I can picture is this. So I don't find it uplifting or cute or enjoyable at all. I find it terrifying. And then the General gets a tour of Willy Wonka's sweatshop. Yes, this is how the toy factory works. Also, pretty much anytime we see the factory workers on the floor, it's the same song playing in the background. The song, I think, is called Happy Workers, because that's really the only line in the song, and it's just repeated over and over. And you can see them dancing along as they're working, or, you know, they're putting together the toys and they're singing, Workers. I have to assume that they've suffered some kind of lobotomy in order to find this enjoyable, because I'm sorry, maybe if it happened once a day, maybe it'd be like, hey, it's song time at work. But after having the same song on a loop, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, I don't want to kill people. That'd be like hell. That would not be enjoyable, happy, fun time. That would be hell. These people are working in hell. Now, we get to see Robin Williams doing one of many gags that he's going to do that are definitely worthy of the late, great Carrot Top. I know Carrot Top isn't dead, but we can all have hopes and dreams. This is his smoking jacket. A truly original joke that I am absolutely positive has never been done before in the history of prop comedy.
You go into a restaurant and they ask you for smoking or non-smoking.
Do what I do.
Hey, it's a smoking jacket.
Ah,
Get
cool.
Now, before he fully takes over the factory, the General goes to visit the Crypt Keeper. Oh, I'm sorry, that's his father. He goes to visit his father to complain about how his British accent prevented him from ever becoming a 4-star general.
Your fault. I've never been taken for a real American.
That's a British accent? Thank God the film told me, because otherwise I never would have imagined. It might be that I've grown up watching too many British comedies, but that doesn't sound like a British accent to me. This sounds like a British accent.
Ah, you made it. Roger's good. Well done, my son.
You've got a bloody nerve, you have, Del. Phoning me up at home and demanding I come down here to pick you up.
Admitted it's Cockney and very lower class, but at least it sounds like an actual accent that's not American. Now, the General very quickly decides to bring in his son to help manage security, to make sure that their industrial secrets aren't stolen by other companies. The General's son is played by an African American, but that's not what the f*** worthy, because in this day and age, races don't have to match up. So I'm not going to address it, and how racist of you to think I was. His son is supposed to be the greatest covert operative in the United States Army, who also was able to quit on approximately 2 weeks' notice to come work for the toy factory. And since he's covert, you get a lot of gags like this.
Sophie's hungry too. Patrick.
Yeah, it's hilarious. This is a Robin Williams comedy, back before he tried to start doing serious roles, some of which he's actually pretty good in. But the movie will take occasional timeouts just to let Robin Williams be Robin Williams, like this.
Eggs look good.
Don't they? Oh, that's a quick egg, isn't it? Oh, look at that egg scramble. Getting a little egg-sided. Talk about fresh. These are rude. Look at these eggs are acting very... Maybe they really are deviled eggs.
These are probably the highlights of the film. They're few and far between, and they're only good if you really like Robin Williams. So, the next day, the new security measures take place, and as you can tell, this movie is a big fan of moderation and subtlety in storytelling. We need security, so we're going to turn it into a Nazi prison camp. Yeah, remember that expectation bar I had you set earlier?
Personal question.
You're laughing, Miss Tyler. Are you taking my duplication investigation seriously? Or are you disrespecting my duplication investigation?
No, I'm not.
Oh, man. The General's son tries so hard to be funny in this scene. Seriously, you can tell he is trying to squeeze any amount of humor out of this horrible turd of a scene. Dude, it's okay. The rest of this movie's not really all that funny either. You fit right in. It's okay. Just relax, man. Now, one of the biggest issues I have in this film is that all of the characters are remarkably one-dimensional, especially the two military characters. Their main characters, it's the guy who's now running the toy factory, the main character's uncle, and his son. They are firmly established 100% pro-military, and that's the extent of their character. The problem is that the people who wrote these characters have absolutely no military experience whatsoever. I don't either, but when I saw this scene, it seemed out of place for me. Go ahead and take a look.
I can't even eat. The food keeps touching. I like military plates. I'm a military man. I want a military meal. I want my string beans to be quarantined. I like a little fortress around my mashed potatoes so the meatloaf doesn't invade my mashed potatoes and cause mixing in my plate.
That didn't seem like what I know about of military mess hall etiquette. So I actually asked some people that I knew that did serve in the military. And they told me this guy would have gotten his ass beat. Lunch, breakfast, dinner in the military is grab your tray, they slop a whole bunch of food on it, you eat it real quick, and then you go back to military stuff. You don't get to regiment your food. The people who wrote this clearly didn't bother to ask anybody or serve in the military themselves. They just thought, you know, a regimented mind, somebody who's all about orders and all that, would naturally want his food to not touch and be separated. That's not how it works. As a writer, if you don't have experience in the subject matter that you're writing about, you go and ask people. You don't just assume, because it really opens up the door for you to look like a complete and total. Now, one of the subplots that's going on, along with the military takeover of the toy factory, is Robin Williams and Princess Buttercup here begin a relationship. It's remarkably uneventful and doesn't stand out in any way from any other romantic subplot ever. They're both quirky and charming and oh how adorable. I really just wanted to point out that this was Princess Buttercup. So, while that romance subplot is lurching along, the General and his son visit an arcade for some plot-convenient reason, and the General sees kids playing these military-style arcade games and comes up with the brilliant idea. What if those games remote-controlled actual military vessels? I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't tried this yet. All those kids who spend their entire life playing Halo, if we could actually have them controlling military hardware, we'd pretty much own the world. As long as the Japanese didn't start using StarCraft in a similar manner, because then we would totally be f***ed. I hate cliffhangers as much as anybody, but there is a time limit on YouTube, so come on back and we'll finish it next time.
Thank you for watching WTF Cinema. Until next time, what the f***, man?